Hello there, and welcome to my weekly Wednesday live broadcast. I am excited to see you as always, and we are going to jump right in to one of the things I'm working on right now. And as many of you know, I am an online creative entrepreneur now after reinventing myself when I got laid off from my corporate job. And I don't know about you, but it's a little bit crazy in the world right now. And we've actually been through craziness before. And one of the things that we did when it was really, really crazy before was many of us decided that we needed to actually learn some new skills. And so I'm excited to tell you about the new skills that I think you might want to learn and how I'm going to help you learn them. Because one of the things that Tony Robbins always says is that what you focus on is how you feel. And so I want you to focus on something that is focused on actually the business that you want to create, how you might want to learn to become an entrepreneur. I wasn't an entrepreneur back in the day. I worked in corporate for 30 years, but I was able to reinvent myself as an entrepreneur. And the joys of entrepreneurship include setting your own schedule, working on the things that bring you the most joy, and building and connecting with an audience that you are going to serve over time, both with free content and eventually with paid content or paid programs. And isn't it great to have the opportunity right now to lean into something that you are excited about, that you want to learn more about, and that you might be interested in a proven framework that's going to help you achieve your goals? And the reason I bring up this proven framework is that I had to figure it all out on my own when I lost my corporate job and then decided that I wanted more control over my life. And so I had to put together all the parts and pieces to create the business I have today. And I realized that if I stepped back for a minute and thought about the different steps that I took, I could share those steps with you so that you could actually avoid all of the confusion. You could avoid all of the overwhelm, and you could make progress more quickly by following my framework. And I've been talking about my framework, right? A couple of weeks ago, I did a blog about my 6-part framework. And then over the next several weeks, I'm actually diving into each part of the framework so that you can understand it better. And today we're going to talk about identifying your ideal customer. But before I do that, I also wanted to let you know that I have now created an ebook for you. And my ebook is a 35-page guide, and it breaks the 6 parts of my framework down in detail for you. And it's totally free. So let me go to my website to show you how you can grab it. I put the URL in the description of today's broadcast, but I also wanted to let you know you can always go to my website, which is annafollettart.com, and this is the page that you land on. And then if you just scroll down, I've created a big banner right here. My 35-page guide is called the Creative Business Spark Guide. And all you need to do is click on this red button right here to grab your copy, and you will get access to it. And as you may also be aware of, I've been writing a blog every single week. And so if you go to the blog by clicking on the right-hand button there, the red blog button in the right-hand corner, you can see that I gave you an overview of it a couple of weeks ago here in my Creative Business Blueprint blog. Then I dove into laying the foundation by starting with strategy first, right? That was last week. And then yesterday, I dove into your ideal customer. How do you attract the right people into your business? And so you can go into each one of these blog posts, and there's also a downloadable worksheet in each one of the blogs. There are questions for you to ask yourself. And also now what I created over the weekend and wanted to make available right away is this guide, this 35-page free guide, which you can download right here by clicking on the Grab It Here button. So I am incredibly excited that I was so excited about it that I spent all weekend working on the book. And I wanted to have it be in a format that you can download. So it's a PDF guide. And then you can go through it page by page, and it covers each of the frameworks that I'm going to be talking about over the next 6 weeks. But you can obviously move ahead more quickly because if you download it, you can actually read the whole thing. It's 35 pages. And there are worksheets inside it to help you ensure that you're not moving through it too quickly and that you're actually doing kind of what I think of as your homework assignment for each one of the steps. So I just wanted to make you aware of that as an extra sort of free resource that I've now created to support you and how you can get a hold of it. Now, let's talk about your ideal customer, because you might be talking to people on Instagram or on other social media platforms, but you're not really sure if they're the right people. And so ensuring that you really do a deep dive on who your ideal customer is really, really important, because your ideal customers are the people who want to join your creative community. And they eventually want to potentially purchase something from you because they love what you're talking about. They love what you're sharing with them. They love the journey that you're on, and they love the art that you're creating, whether that's in the form of wrapping paper or that's in the form of the various fabrics that I have up here, or maybe you've created them into other types of physical products or digital products. So, how do you get started to figure out who your ideal customer is? Because it's more than just understanding their demographics. Frequently, people start with demographics, like, okay, where do they live? How old are they? Are they married or are they not married? Do they have kids? Do they live in a city or do they live outside of a city? And that information is important. I don't want you to skip that information because that information is important. But it's also really important for you to think about what are their values and what are their desires? What are they looking for in their life? And how can what you're actually doing support them? And so understanding both what your values are and how those align with their values and what's going through their mind right now and how you can support them is also a very, very important process of getting to know your ideal customer. When I was first starting, my ideal customer was someone that was very much like me. And frankly, I think that that's my ideal customer still today, because I demonstrated that I could be resilient. And that when I lost my corporate job, and that's happening to so many people right now. I mean, you read in the paper or online about just massive numbers of layoffs. And that might be something that you're fearful about. And so you want to figure out, how do I shift my focus from that fear to taking action in a direction that's going to allow me to take more control over both how I'm feeling and also what I'm doing and what I'm spending my time on. So many people who have joined hashtag Anne's Universe are people like me who either are now retired, and maybe they retired because it was their choice. It wasn't because they got kicked out of their job. But you have time on your hands and you feel like maybe I'm spending too much time in this with some anxiety because of how crazy the world is right now. And as I mentioned, what you focus on is how you feel. So I want to encourage you to do more art if that's what you're interested in, or to start to explore the idea of having a creative membership. Or to start to think about how can I actually provide downloadable art so that people who see me on social media can actually get access to some of the art that I'm creating. And figuring out who your ideal customer is and then getting them to join your email list is very important, because you can talk to them in a much more private and engaged and direct and heartfelt manner once they're actually on your email list. And next week, we're going to talk about how to achieve that goal of building your email list, because we all start with 0 people on our email lists. And I have some very specific methods that I want to teach you next week about how to get people from social media where they're getting introduced to you to join your email list so that you can have a deeper connection and a deeper conversation with them. But before that step, you have to figure out who they are. So I want you to read the blog. Go to annafollowedart.com/blog. Read the blog for additional details about how to identify your ideal customer, and download the worksheet that's embedded in the blog. And also, if you want to take a look at the entire framework that I'm teaching, this 6-part framework, then sign up for my freebie, right? My free 35-page ebook. So before I let you go, I want to make sure that I also go to some of the questions that I want you to think about. I always like to have sort of 3 questions. As you go through my framework, I like to have 3 key questions for you to ask yourself so that you're kind of in the right headspace to do the work that's required to answer, to figure out who your ideal customer is. And so the first question that I always like to ask is, when you're in or creating a business, you need to know who are you going to serve, right? Who do you want your customers to be? So if you had a retail store, for example, you would be thinking about, well, who do I want to serve? And as a result, where should I locate my store? And what should I have inside my store? Of course, it's a combination of what you specifically want to create yourself, but you have to figure out who's going to be the best person to buy my products and my services. Who is that person? How can I learn more about him or her? And also, what's that sweet spot about what lights you up in terms of things that you like to spend your time on creating, and that there's an audience for? That there is actually an audience who would love to work with you on maybe commissioned work, or who would definitely either go to a retail store if you had one, or find you online, because it's so powerful to create an online presence so that you can serve your customers all over the world. So that's question number 1. Who do you want to serve, right? What is the type of artwork you want to create? How is the end user going to use that? And as a result, that starts to give you a little bit of a definition of who your customer is. Now, the second question is, put yourself in their shoes. This was something that my mom taught me at a very early age, is always try to put yourself in the shoes of the person that you're trying to support. So what might they be struggling with right now? So many of us are just struggling with managing through the chaos that surrounds us. So one of their struggles might be, how do I shift my focus so that I am actually leaning into my creativity and spending more time in a place of calm, in a place that brings me joy, in a place where I can ignore all of the noise and be in a safe environment, in community with others who might be doing the same thing. So that might be a struggle. So you might want to create a space in either your local area or online where people can come together and you can support them in an art activity that will help them decide, okay, I'm going to spend my time on this with you instead of spending time worried, just in a general worry sense. And because they're going to focus on something fun and something that adds to their skills, they're going to be very happy, and you're going to actually be serving them in a really, really beautiful way. So it's also really important to realize that frequently, or let me say, there's a balance between focusing on what people are struggling with, and especially in the art space, focusing on what they want to learn, right? And what new skills would they like to acquire? And how can you help them with those skills? Or how can you share the way you learned the skills that currently bring you a lot of joy and satisfaction? Because moving them to a place of fulfilling their desires and their dreams and their wishes is a very positive way for you to support them and serve them and learn more about their needs. So it's both figuring out what they might be struggling with and how you can support them, and also figuring out what are they looking for, what do they want, what is going to bring them more joy, what's something they desire, and how can you help them with that. So, for example, in today's world, it's really helpful to journal and to journal about how you want to spend your time. And so wouldn't it be great for you to provide a journal that has your own cover on it, your cover design on it, so that when someone is journaling, they're actually using your product in order to do it. And it's helping them, again, get away from all of the chaos and all of the noise and spend a little bit of time reflecting on how they want to spend their day, or capturing some wins that they've had. And the benefits of journaling have been talked about a lot. So just one idea, right? One idea that is a combination of helping them get over the struggle of the chaos of the world today and into a place of joy where they're pursuing something that's meaningful for them. Now, the last question is, when you think about them, it's important for you to sort of close this loop, which is, why is that person that you're now getting to know really well, why is that person a good fit for your business? How might they travel through the various programs and services that you provide, products, programs, services that you provide? How might they fit and work through a customer journey with you over time? And it might start out with them downloading a beautiful digital graphic that you've designed. And then it might be an invitation into a creative membership that you're running. Or it might be a challenge or a mini course or a workshop. The opportunities are just amazing in today's world in terms of how you can support the people who you want to get into your universe, so that you can have your own hashtag Anne's Universe, hashtag your name universe. All right. So as I mentioned, there is more detail in the blog. So you can go to annelafollettart.com blog to read about this framework. And we're on step 2, which is your ideal customer. And then when you go to annelafollettart.com, on the first landing page, all you need to do is scroll down a little bit and you'll see where you can actually grab my free ebook that outlines my whole framework for you. So I hope that this has been valuable. I always love being here. Let's do some fun emojis to wrap up today. It's so fun. I love it. And then they slowly disappear down the bottom of the page. And I will be back next week to talk about how to build an audience, right? Because you want to build an audience of people that you support who will eventually be your buyers. So I look forward to talking to you about that next week. But in the meantime, don't forget that I am Anne LaFollette, and it's never too late to create. It's never too late to create. So I'll see you next week. Bye for now.